You ever sit down thinking you know exactly where a story is going, and then bam, in the very first 20 minutes, the whole foundation crumbles? That's what happened to me watching Tulsa King Season 3, Episode 1, Blood and Bourbon. And let me tell you, Sylvester Stallone and Taylor Sheridan didn't just serve bourbon this time, they spiked it with dynamite. Now here's the question that hit me immediately. How long can Dwight Manfredi keep smiling while the FBI holds the keys to his cage? I mean, imagine building an empire brick by brick, finally getting legit businesses like a weed shop and a car dealership rolling, only to realize you're still dancing on strings tied to the bureau. That's not freedom. That's a slow motion prison. And here's the kicker. The season premiere isn't just about Dwight juggling businesses and enemies. It's about whether a man defined by loyalty and action can survive when loyalty becomes leverage. But before we unravel this mess of bourbon-soaked betrayals, let me toss this out there. If you're watching this and you love Stallone's Dwight the way I do, stubborn, old school, dangerous, hilarious all at once, then you must subscribe right now to my channel. Because every week, we break down Sheridan's TV universe like detectives at a crime scene, and trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. Here's what makes this premiere controversial. Dwight should have been on top of the world. Chickie's gone. The Kansas City mess is behind him. His businesses are legit. By all logic, Season 3 should have opened with him cruising in a Cadillac, puffing cigars, enjoying retirement. But instead, Blood and Bourbon yanks that dream away. Enter FBI agent Musso. And man, talk about a wolf in a suit. Musso pins Dwight down, not with fists, not with bullets, but with paperwork and the promise of prison walls. It's like the show is saying, the most dangerous mobsters aren't in the streets, they're in government offices. And then, just when you think Dwight's only problem is this Fed breathing down his neck, the guy is pure menace. Self-righteous, calculated, and let's be honest, scarier because he believes every brutal move is divinely justified. He doesn't just want Tulsa, he wants to cleanse it in his own twisted vision. That's not business, that's holy war. Here's the part nobody wants to admit, but you know it's true. Dwight Manfredi isn't just fighting enemies. He's fighting time. He's old school mafia dropped in a new school world. Weed shops, car dealerships, crypto, FBI surveillance. He's a fossil forced to adapt in a digital jungle. And Sheridan is secretly showing us something forbidden here. Dwight isn't the future of crime. He's the last gasp of an old code of honor. Every move he makes is really a fight against extinction. If you caught that, you're ahead of the game. Now let's have some fun. I want to know what you think. If you were in Dwight's shoes, would you take Musso's deal and play the Fed's game, or would you risk everything on a one-way ticket back to prison? Drop your answer in the comments, because I have a theory the majority of you are going to say you'd risk prison. But if we're being brutally honest, most of us would fold faster than Bodie trying to explain crypto to Dwight. And speaking of Bodie, shout out to Martin Starr. The man can make selling weed and explaining Bitcoin sound like a TED Talk gone wrong. Remember back in Season 2 when Dwight nearly had a heart attack just hearing about NFTs? Yeah, Bodie still manages to bring that same awkward energy. But now there's a dark side. Sheridan sprinkled just enough hints in this premiere to suggest Bodie isn't just comic relief anymore. Bookmark that thought. But back to Dwight. Watching him walk into Theo Montague's distillery, and then seeing Theo betrayed by Jeremiah Dunmire. That was personal. I'll be honest, it hit me harder than I expected. Because Dwight doesn't just see business deals. He sees loyalty, he sees history. And to have that ripped away, it's like cutting into Dwight's soul. And let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Is Theo really dead? Sheridan loves to play possum with characters. Remember how many times in Yellowstone we thought a Dutton was toast? Same energy here. My gut says Theo's not gone. Call me crazy, but until I see a body bag zipped shut, I'm not buying it. You know what this reminded me of? Season 1, Dwight walking into Tulsa thinking he could run a dispensary like an old school mob front. It was hilarious. And now, fast forward, he's got dispensaries, car dealerships, an entire gang of misfits. It's like watching your uncle finally figure out Facebook, just to get hacked 2 weeks later. And then there's Tyson. Man, I love this kid. Still overeager, still trying to prove himself. Tyson's like that one friend who offers to fight a biker gang after one beer, and then remembers he can't even throw a punch. But you root for him anyway, because he's all heart. Here's what makes Blood and Bourbon such a strong premiere. It doesn't just set up one villain, it sets up three. You've got Musso pulling strings from the FBI, Jeremiah Dunmire rewriting God's law to justify his crimes, and Quiet Ray, the silent mafia storm out of New York. And all of them want a piece of Dwight. That's not just stakes. That's a death trap. And here's my wild prediction before the season ends. Dwight's gonna have to choose between burning everything down or sacrificing someone close to him. And knowing Sheridan, it won't be the choice we're expecting. But I'm not done yet, because in part 2, we're diving into the hidden symbols of the premiere, the rise of Samuel L. Jackson's Tulsa King, and why season 3 might secretly be the darkest chapter yet. So here's the thing, if you thought Blood and Bourbon was just another table setter episode, you missed the hidden game Sheridan's playing. This isn't just about Dwight vs. Tulsa. This is about Dwight vs. the world. And the second you notice that, you realize something terrifying. The guy who once ruled New York streets is now fighting a three-front war he can't possibly win. Or can he? Let's break this down. Did anyone else catch how Theo's distillery wasn't just a business? It was a symbol. Bourbon, aged and preserved in barrels. It's literally liquid history. Dwight saw it as his shot at legacy. Dunmire saw it as something to destroy. Sheridan's not subtle here, he's showing us that Dwight's past, his traditions, even his values, are under attack. And then the fire, the burned family house. That wasn't random. That was Sheridan saying, nothing old survives. If Dwight wants to win, he has to reinvent himself. But here's the dark twist. Reinventing himself might mean breaking the very code of honor that made him who he is. Now let me ask you directly, would you respect Dwight if he abandoned that code? Because I'm torn. Part of me wants to see him adapt, outsmart the FBI, crush Quiet Ray and school Dunmire. But another part of me says, if Dwight stops being Dwight, what's the point? Drop your answer in the comments, because I know this fanbase is split. And now, let's talk about the elephant. No, the king. Walking into the room, Samuel L. Jackson as the Tulsa King. Just the idea of Jackson stepping into this universe gives me chills. His presence alone changes the stakes. Picture it, Stallone's Dwight, gravel-voiced and stubborn, standing across from Jackson's Tulsa King, smooth, venomous, every word a bullet. That's not just a clash. That's cinematic history colliding on TV. And here's the theory, Jackson's character won't be a full-blown villain. He's going to be the chaotic middle ground. Someone who might save Dwight in one breath and sell him out in the next. Think about it, Dwight's fighting Musso, Dunmire, Quiet Ray. Sheridan needed a wild card. And the Tulsa King is that chaos grenade. Okay, time for a quick poll. Out of all the new threats, Musso, Dunmire, Quiet Ray, or the Tulsa King, who do you think is the TRU big bad of season 3? Drop it below. Personally, my money's on Dunmire, because anyone who kills his own friend, in episode 1. Yeah, that's endgame villain energy. But Quiet Ray feels like the sleeper threat. And Musso, he's the puppet master, always in the shadows. So who's it gonna be? I'll pin the most convincing theory in the comments, so go all in. And let's lighten it up for a second. Because this episode wasn't all doom and bourbon-soaked gloom. Can we talk about Bigfoot? My guy walks on screen and instantly shifts the tone. He's like if Chewbacca and Tony Soprano had a cousin who just shows up to break tension. Every Sheridan show needs that one character who feels like a meme in human form, and Bigfoot is delivering. Also, Dwight's sister Joanne, slick talking, razor sharp, and probably 2 steps away from starting her own podcast. Mark my words, she's going to be one of those characters who drops one-liners that end up all over TikTok edits. And then there's Margaret, Dwight's love interest. Let me be brutally honest here, I don't trust this. Sheridan doesn't do easy romances. If Dwight's getting close to someone, it's only a matter of time before betrayal, tragedy, or both. Bookmark this clip. Her mild self, deprecation and audience interaction, and hey, let me admit something, I totally thought season 3 would start with Dwight sipping cocktails, running car dealerships, maybe finally learning how to text without all caps. Yeah, I was wrong. Shows you how much faith you should put in my predictions. But hey, if I keep being wrong, at least I'm wrong with style. So tell me, what prediction did you make that this episode instantly shattered? Did you think Theo was safe? Did you think Chicky's death meant peace? Drop your confessions in the comments. Misery loves company, right? Looping suspense and forbidden knowledge. Here's a piece of forbidden knowledge. The premiere gives us, if you read between the lines, Sheridan doesn't care about Dwight's empire. He cares about Dwight's soul. This season isn't about money, territory, or even survival. It's about whether Dwight can stay himself while every enemy tries to twist him into something else. Musso wants him obedient. Dunmire wants him erased. Quiet Ray wants him compromised. And the Tulsa King, he wants him indebted. So the real question isn't, can Dwight survive? It's, can Dwight survive without becoming the very thing he hates? And that's why season 3 feels so much bigger than season 1 or 2. It's not just survival of the fittest. It's survival of identity. Let's wrap this up with a thought. Blood and Bourbon is messy, chaotic, even choppy at times. But you know what? That's what makes it brilliant. Because life in Dwight Manfredi's world isn't clean. It's a hurricane. Enemies, allies, betrayal, loyalty, FBI, mafia, Bourbon. fire, and Stalin carries it all with that unstoppable energy that makes you believe he can outlive the storm. So here's my final prediction: by the end of Season 3, Dwight will face a choice so brutal, so gut-wrenching, that even his old school code won't save him. And when that moment comes, it won't just define the season. It'll define the entire series. Now, you made it this far, which means you're officially part of this breakdown crew. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you're here with me every week as we unravel Sheridan's chaos. And don't just watch, comment, argue, roast me when I'm wrong, because half the fun is the back and forth. Until next time, remember, in Tulsa, nothing stays buried. Not bourbon, not secrets, not enemies, and definitely not Dwight Manfredi.